Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about a film that's actually a film that's recommended by a popular YouTuber that I watch named Chris Stuckman. And it's a film that kind of inspired him to make movies and to want to pursue the horror genre and stuff like that. And that's the independent film Lake Mungo from, I believe, 2008. Somewhere in that late 2000s era is when this movie came out. And so I've been meaning to see this film for a while now. I know that Chris Stuckman absolutely loves this movie. He covered it on one of his annual Halloween movies, Halloween videos, I want to say. It's just a film that I've been very intrigued by with the plot and how it was made and how the mockumentary format was applied to this genre and stuff like that. The overall, guys, for this synopsis of the film, you guys, so for Lake Mungo, it's about a family that loses their teenage daughter very young. I think she's like 16 or 17 when she passes away, and there is a death within this dam or lake somewhere where her body's recovered from, and so they're trying to figure out what exactly happened to her. And so, they're trying to get through Christmas time, and I think this film takes place late 2005 and throughout 2006 for, it is a mockumentary, so it is something fictional, but they're trying to make it as real as possible, and I believe that is the time frame they're working with, like late 2005 through most of 2006. And so over the course of this film, the body gets examined. They're trying to figure out what exactly happened to her and how she died. And paranormal entities seem to be entering the house. They set up cameras around the house to kind of clarify and to make sure that it's not just them imagining things. There really is some type of a figure walking around at night. There's a ghost that strongly resembles Alice, the girl that passed away. And she hangs out in her room. She hangs out in the hallway. She stares at people in the bed while they're sleeping and stuff. So a lot of creepy stuff like that. And so over the course of this film, they hire a sidekick, like a sidekick slash medium person, and they basically perform a ritual to welcome the ghosts while they're performing it and see if there really is a ghost within the home and stuff like that. And so basically, over this course of this film, this family has to figure out what exactly is up with this ghost. What exactly happened to Alice? Was she murdered? Did she commit suicide? Did somebody force her to do this at this lake? And so we have to figure all these things out over the course of Lake Mungo. But overall, guys, I thought this film was good. I wouldn't quite put it in my top 20 favorite horror films of all time or anything. I enjoyed the film, though. I think it was a nice um, use of the mockumentary format. It was cool to see how the horror genre would kind of work its way into such a format like this. When I think of mockumentaries, I think of like This Is Spinal Tap and um, stuff like that, like stuff where it's clearly a fictional band or a fictional group of people, and the film kind of makes a story around that fictional group, but they're trying to make it look like it's something that was really happening and stuff like that. Um, I know a lot of Christopher Guest films do that, like Waiting for Guffman and things like that as well. But overall, I enjoyed the film. Like I said, it was a nice use of that mockumentary format. I don't know if I'd put it in my own top 20 horror films like what Chris Stuckman did personally, but there is some things about it that I really enjoyed and some things about it that I really quite didn't enjoy as much. So for my positives and negatives for the film, for the most part, this is a great and mostly believable mockumentary. You really do kind of believe that these actors and actresses are really kind of this family trying to cope with this terrible loss and deal with this terrible paranormal entity that is has entered the home and stuff like that. And you really want them to get out of it. You really want them to kind of go back to their normal lives again. And so you really feel for them. So I think that really goes for the writing and the acting of this film and just how powerful it is, that you really do kind of feel for the characters and for their journey of getting out of this terrible thing. I also like the use of old photos and videos. There's a lot of scenes where, specifically like in the opening credits and throughout the film, when they're looking at old photographs and things like that, there's scenes where in the old photographs you get the impression that there's maybe a ghost in the background or a ghost following this girl's family around over the years throughout history on the family tree and stuff like that. They also show videos of things that could potentially lead to um, some type of ghost entity following Alice around, ultimately kind of causing her death like this. So I like the use of old photos and old videos and kind of how they compile into what exactly happened to Alice over the course of this film. And like I said, this really does feel like real people and not actors. It really does feel like something where if you were to encounter one of these people in real life, you really would think that that was the dad of Alice, or that was the mom of Alice, or that was the brother of Alice. You really feel like you want to call them by the names in the movie just because they are so believable as these characters. So it just goes to show that sometimes the best actors know how to naturally fit into characters like this, and so that really goes to show how talented a lot of the talent was in front of the camera and behind the camera for this. It really felt like real people and not like actors and actresses pretending to be these people. I love the use of found footage and video footage used on phones in this. Because this film takes place in roughly 2005, 2006, there is a lot of like old camcorder footage used. There is a lot of people's old video files used on like old cell phones and things like that. Um, Things that you would find in like flip phones and the video formats on those and things. It really does kind of add up to what the film becomes. The found footage and the phone video footage really bring something to the film and really make the film creepier because it does feel like something that isn't professionally made and really does kind of reveal what exactly happened to this girl over the course of this film. There is a lot of unsettling and creepy images here in this movie too, so for those who want a good scare in their life, this film definitely does that. It avoids jump scares and things like that. It does do a lot of like creepy imagery and unsettling moments, and moments where it's just like you almost kind of wonder how people within this house could sleep at night knowing that this ghost is there and things like that. Just a lot of unsettling, creepy moments. I would say the first 40 minutes of this film for me were probably the most powerful for me as far as like the scares and getting the vibe of the film going and things like that. So a lot of unsettling, creepy moments here that really add to the film and really make for a good viewing experience. But for my negatives of Lake Mungo, there's just a lot of plot twists and turns that don't really completely work in this movie. I won't go into spoilers because I know a lot of you probably haven't seen this film. I know there isn't a lot of reviews for the film quite yet on YouTube right now, just because it is a smaller film. There's, like I said, I won't go into spoilers, but I do want to give you enough context just so as you are watching it, you'll know exactly what I probably didn't like about the film as much as other people did. All I'm going to say without completely spoiling it is there is a photo that is modified, I guess you could say, in the movie, and the film has no problem letting you know that it was modified in a certain way. There's also a reveal revolving a different family outside of the family that the film focuses on that might be the reason why Alice did what she did. And the explanation and how they couldn't find enough evidence to put them in prison and stuff like that, I thought was not very good in this movie. It did feel kind of like the police department didn't want to put in the work to track down this family and give them the consequence they needed for what happened to all the stuff that happened to the family and things like that. There's just a lot of details that really don't. You can kind of tell that it's a mockumentary format because in real life I feel like there would be more justice for the family for having this other family doing this terrible thing to them and stuff like that. So there's a lot of twists and turns in here that don't completely work for me. There was even some times where I kind of had my jaw open, be like, okay, how would that possibly work? How could someone possibly get away with that? There is a lot of stuff like that in this movie, and there's a character motivation that doesn't completely make sense for what happened earlier in the film. So there's things like that throughout the runtime that did kind of bother me a little bit and kind of took the viewing experience away from me as much as say like a Chris Stuckman or someone like that who may have enjoyed the film a lot more than I did. There is some repetitive photo gimmicks here too. There's a lot of scenes that really, don't get me wrong, they're very creepy and very good. Of zoom-ins on like photos and video footage of where the ghost could have been and how the film wants to make sure you didn't miss where the ghost was in that shot and things like that. It gets to the point though when you get to the end credits where all of the end credits really show in between the credits is these old photos of what potentially the ghost could have been during that photo when it was taken and things like that. It does get a little repetitive after a while. It's cool that they figured out how to do that for this movie to really make it feel like there is this ghost in this house and things like that. Cool gimmick, but unfortunately kind of outstays its welcome by the time the end credits roll around. And the end credits seem to really enjoy that because they keep showing more and more photos after the film is finished with. I also thought there was just some unresolved closure that really kind of didn't make sense to me and made me ask more questions than provide more answers for me. there's something that the family does at the end of the film that makes you kind of question if the ghost really is gone. Yeah, they figured out what exactly happened to Alice and things like that, but certain things happen at the end where it's like, well, when the ghost follow him, when the ghost haunts somebody else living in that house and stuff like that. There's just some unresolved closure that I wasn't too happy with, and because the film was over with, there wasn't any kind of a sequel or anything. We will never probably get answers to those questions just because of that unresolved closure. There's also a lot of messy details regarding this sidekick slash medium that this family reaches out to regarding what to do with the ghosts in the house and things like that. There's just some details where just like, okay, how come that one thing wasn't brought up earlier, and how come they're constantly using it in this third act of the movie? And yeah, sure, maybe this sidekick wouldn't have been hired if they found out about this one detail about him, but there's just a lot of messy details like this where you can tell the script probably was very preliminary and a lot of it was improvised because it was a mockumentary. So there's things like that that really make the film feel messy and could have been better written as a script overall at the end of the day. But overall, I'm going to give Lake Mungo an 8 out of 10. I think there's things about it that are really good. Like I said, it is for the most part a pretty believable mockumentary. I like the use of old photos and videos. I like how these actors really feel like real people and not like actors and actresses. The use of found footage and phone videos I thought was very effective here, specifically a shot in one of the phone videos that's extremely creepy and will kind of stay with you forever, unfortunately, because it is so creepy. A lot of unsettling and creepy images that really kind of stay with you over the course of this film. But like I said, some plot twists and turns that don't completely work for me. There is some repetitive photo gimmicks. There is some unresolved closure at the end of the film that doesn't make a lot of sense to me and just made me ask more questions about the film. And some of the stuff with the sidekick slash medium I thought could have been handled better with better details and more reason as to why things are the way they are with that character. But overall, like I said, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a good film. I think it's a good film where if you can track it down for free or stream it for a cheap price, I think it's worth checking out. I don't know if I put it in my top 20 of all time like what Chris Stuckman did, but I thought it was a good movie, though. I enjoyed it. I hope more people watch it and kind of learn about the mockumentary format and things like that. Lake Mungo is a good film. I give it an 8 out of 10. A good film for me to recommend, but I don't think I'd put it in my top 20 favorite horror films of all time or anything. But still a good movie, and I would recommend seeing it.